You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch!
Hi-yo.
Mitch.
What up, Mitch?
Orderly Mitch.
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch.
What up, Mitch? Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
What up, Mitch?
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch!
Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch. 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 Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
On tonight's episode of Hey Mitch, I have a very special guest, Kayden Phoenix, creator of Loquita, of the La La Brava comics group. Is it a group? Is it a whole comics like company? How do I explain that?
I call it a universe. It's part of the Latino superhero universe.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Your project currently is on Kickstarter, and what is your goal that you're trying to meet at the moment?
The goal is 5,000, and that covers printing cost, including Kickstarter fees and my Kickstarter like manager fees as well, and also shipping costs, because I don't charge extra to ship the book out either. So that's just the little part that I just had to make sure. But it's 5,000. I'm doing really good. We're at 70%, and I think we have roughly 2 weeks left, and so it's going. So I'm very happy about that.
So on the Kickstarter page, you have a nice video of description of what it is that your superheroine does. So explain to us, what is her superpower?
Loquita fights the supernatural. So when she comes into womanhood, as I call it, so she's my sophomore in high school. She gets her first period in class, and she's totally, scared, etc., and nervous, and she runs out. And so that kicks off. That's just the beginning part, but that's the catalyst, and it kicks off her superpowers, and she does not know that. And so the next scene, like in the market, she starts seeing demons, and she doesn't understand why. She's a big scaredy cat as well, and so she has a bigger arc because of that, because she literally just looks and there's a demon. She looks like over there and there's like a ghoul, and like there's a ghost as well. So that's kind of her arc. Is she learns courage. She finds herself, which is just very coming of age. They're all coming of age stories. All origin stories are, but she ends up fighting the major demon, like the boss demon called Vika. And I won't go into any details as to what, but she becomes a detective because of the ghost called Sissel. She helps her out, and tells her, kind of the way, how to work your way into the supernatural.
That sounds great. I love a good detective story. I also love that she comes to find out that ghosts and demon are just around us all the time, apparently.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because they run parallel, like on the same world or a spirit space, as I made it up, as I called it. But yeah, like the mortal space, if you will, and the spirit space run on top of each other. The only difference is that she can see the spirit space. And obviously we cannot.
I love that. How long have you been working on this type of supernatural detective story? Is it something that's always been in your mind, or did you just this is what I want to do next and just started going?
Definitely the latter. I thought of Loquita because I needed to think of 5 superheroes, of Latino superheroes with different heritages. And so Loquita was my Cubana Boricua from Miami, right? So just different parts of the world, or different parts of the U.S. as well as Mexico, and just different, say, powers, if you will. Like, it's not a new power, but it's different enough that it's like, okay, here's a little twist on it, here's a little turn. And so that is how long I probably, I think I started like a year and a half ago, but I wrote out all of my superhero scripts already. So I wrote out all the stories all at once, back to back to back. And then the artists are going and they're doing the books. And so this is the 3rd book. So a year and a half, but to get the book done for Loquita, 6 months.
Can I ask about the other 4 in the A La Brava?
Of course.
So this is the 3rd one. Who are the 2 that you've already put out?
So Jalisco is the first one. She dances folklorico. She's from Mexico, from Jalisco, Mexico. She dances folklorico, which is Mexican traditional dance. So it's the big dress, and and she holds onto the hems of the dress, and the blades come out of the dress. So she like whips it down, and they unhinge out. She whips it down, the blades come out. So when she's dancing, she can say slice neck, she can deflect bullets, and she goes like that. And I know you can't see my arms moving about, but she brings her arm out, and they can shoot out as well at the same time. So she's really fun. She's not necessarily a super hero because she has no power. She's just very skilled. But that's fine. Like I'm okay with that. She's just very cool. Like just aesthetically, it's very pretty to see it. So that's one. And then she takes down the femicide. So Women of Juarez and just Latin America has a big femicide, just like we have MMIW with the Native Americans in Canada as well. And then Santa is my political one. She's much more political than the others. She takes down ICE, and she's in a border town of Texas. I call it Wexo, but really it's kind of like El Paso. And it's the Zika, so all the regular, like the civilians, and then the other half of the civilians are luchadores. So they're all dressed in masks. They're all it's like a parallel world, per se, parallel city. And that one's very, like, you're either very conservative or you're very into equality. There's a big race war mayor race in that town. She joins the domino side, which is Democratic, but she joins the domino side. She learns patriotism, and she learns just like the basic, like here, knock on people's doors, ask them to sign no to vote, just the little basic things. But as the tensions rise in the town, the conservative frontrunner, ICE, which is Irene Calderon Estevez, she starts taking people and putting them in the detention centers. So it's not like, oh, you're an immigrant. It's literally, you're just a person, a civilian that's going against me. So with the help of Ruka, which she makes a cameo, but Santa, Ruka, and like the other people in the Domino party, they end up taking down the detention center. And Santa has divine strength. So Santa means saint in Spanish. So she ends up having divine strength. So not necessarily like the Hulk. Like she is a brawler, which is very much like the Hulk, but she doesn't transform. She doesn't turn green or anything like that. She just has a lot of strength, and you cannot kill her spirit. So that is her power. Loquita, I said, that's that one. She's a supernatural fighter. She's kind of also a brawler, but she actually has other powers as well. When she touches somebody, and you find this out obviously later on and she learns it as well, she touches somebody, that person can see that world as well at the same time, as long as you're touching them. So it's a little extra bonus. But she knows jujitsu, so that's her thing, is she knows jujitsu. So she has different, and parkour. She learns parkour in between. So same thing. They're all slightly fun.
And then your future two, the two that the rest of the world haven't seen yet, if you want to give it up.
Ruka, I won't say. Ruka's very fun. She's my East LA Chola, because I am from East LA, from Boyle Heights. So she is literally Chicana culture, and like it is a very stereotyped world. And so we use that stereotype. Like she does have the big hoop earrings, because of course she would, and so, and like the plaid shirt and the tank tops or the spaghetti straps, because that is her look, and that is what we're known for. Me, I have none of that, but like that doesn't matter. So she ends up taking down trafficking. She goes to Barrio Logan in San Diego, which is very much like East LA, just the San Diego version. And she ends up taking down trafficking. And I won't tell you her power, but she does actually has power as well. And she gets it in the book of Santa, so the prior book. And then my last one is Bandita, and she's my gunslinger. She's my Dominican from New York. And that one started like a couple weeks ago. So I'm very excited about that one. And she's literally a cowgirl in modern day New York. And so she dresses cowboy, she talks cowboy, just literally everything cowgirl and cowboy. And everyone, like everyone's just normal. And so they think there's something like odd with her, but she's very charming, right? Because she does have that hospitality, the Southern hospitality. And she ends up taking down domestic violence, or her storyline is domestic violence. Because I said all my stuff is very social justice, very female centered as well, because we never get our justice. Mm-hmm. And so they're all very darker themes. They're definitely dark themes, but other than that, they are clean teen, as I call it. Like the themes are dark. People do die, because I'm much more DC than Marvel in that sense. But that's part of life. I can't get around that.
I mean, do you have a set of favorite superheroes that you read other than the ones that you created?
I read when I was studying, I read Batman. I read The Killing Joke and I hate it because it's The Killing Joke. And I also watched the animated movie, which my friend had, and I hated it even more just because of the inference, right? Because Joker, or really Alan Moore is really why. And then Watchmen, of course, because Alan Moore is great. V for Vendetta, same thing, Alan Moore, because he's a changer, like he's a game changer. So I appreciate that. Obviously, whether or not I agree with the story is different story. Like Watchmen, they're very crude characters. I actually don't like a few of the characters. But the overall gist of it, yes, I understand it. I understand how it changed. Like here's a little tweak, who watches a Watchmen? Like it's very simple, but we never had that mentality before. So it's very smart. So and then like he did 3x3s in the Watchmen, meaning 3 down and 3 across in regards to panels. Because I had to study, I had to research everything because I didn't know anything about comics or graphic novels 2 years ago. And so like he was pretty much my main source of reading, pretty much that. And then Batman, I just always grew up liking Batman. So I did read Batman a lot as well.
So why use the comic book as the medium for you if you didn't particularly were immersed in that world?
Because it was an easy way to get it's lots of reasons, but it's an easy way to get my fan base. And honestly, I did not think about that. I wrote out the feature-length screenplay because I come from a screenwriting background. And then I was like, nobody's looking at my work because I don't know anybody. And so I shot the short film of Jalisco. So a little like 3-minute sizzle saying, okay, here's her powers. This is how visually she looks. This is how visually I would shoot it. No, and then the people that I did show, they asked for the comic book. Right. And I kept saying no, right? Because I don't do comics, and like I literally kept saying no over and over and over. And then it finally hit me. I should do a comic because that is what pretty much truth by consensus. That is what the people, pretty much everyone I showed it to wanted because I thought it was a really cool concept, and which is a nice compliment as well. And so same thing, I researched, okay, comic versus graphic novel based on my money, based on my frequency, how much reach I have. Because I don't, I'm not Marvel or DC, so I'm not in every comic book store. And I can't afford 10 pages, but I can afford the 80 pages because it's simpler for printing cost. Just business-wise, it made more sense as a graphic novel. And so same thing, you establish your IP, which I already had a copy written, but establishes your IP. And then it's easier now to walk into studios or production companies like, here's a book. And here's a bunch of little girls smiling at the Comic-Cons back when we had Comic-Cons, which I had those pictures, right? But it helps my social media. Like I love it when they take photos and they post it. Like that's my favorite thing because we don't have cons now. But like that was a really just amazing compliment. Or when like the little, I call them little kids, but like when they dress up as Jalisco or Santa, like that's a compliment because I literally just started and I'm not Marvel Studios, but like that's already an accomplishment in itself. And I'm very, very appreciative for all that stuff.
When you were creating these characters, the decision to give them their power, was that, did they have the power first, or did you create the power for the situation you wanted to put them in?
The former. When I was thinking, I was like, okay, I need 5. And I was just literally, because I just thought the number, because I like number 5. And so I was like, 5 superheroes. And so I literally just went through my head. I was like, what do I want to see? What is something that's slightly different? Like, none of them fly, because that is absolutely not different. But like, here's a dress, because my mom danced flocorico. So I can just put the flocorico dress because I know that. And I know all the, like the dance moves and etc. And I just add blades because that's pretty. And I'm also very macabre. So for me, it's very pretty. Like she was the easiest one, which is why I went with her first, because it also reminded me of my mom. So it was very easy. Santa, because my dad's from El Paso. I used to live in El Paso. So it was very, I'm like, okay, what is El Paso? Border town, and all these extra little, things that go with it. Why I thought of Divine Strength, I have no idea, honestly. A lot of them I just kind of just picked out of my head. Because same thing, everyone's a brawler, to be quite honest with you. Like, who's the Punisher? A brawler.
Yeah.
Like they're all brawlers. I'm not breaking the mold. Like some of them I'm literally not. But I'm just doing different angles at it. Like, here's a border town. Here's luchadores. So it's very fun fighting because everybody in that town wants to fight. Even she wants to fight. She wants to learn to defend herself. And so I got like Bandita. I like Westerns. or, when I grew up with Westerns, but I liked Westerns to an extent. So why not have a gunslinger? Why not have her in New York? Because that just makes her fish out of water no matter what. And she has the bullet bounce. That's what I forgot to say. So originally I wanted like Wanted, where they can curve the bullet.
Right.
Because it was really cool. But then I was like, Wanted did it. But that was literally, in my head, I thought it was like a really cool idea. And then I remembered that I saw Wanted. And so I was like, okay, well, we can make her with angles. So like if you think of like billiards, instead of just shooting forward, she can point to the side of a wall or a ceiling, and it bounces off the wall and it goes right around to that person that she aimed at, or not aimed at, but the one that she wants to hit. And so she can do a bullet bounce, is what I call it. Same thing, not necessarily new. I'm sure somewhere in some universes, somewhere somebody made it already. If you look at X-Men, they did everything. But it's fun for me. It's really kind of what it is. Luruka. Same thing. They're just different. I just wanted to make them distinct enough within that universe of 5, that you're like, oh, I can mix them up. You're like, no, you actually can't mix them up. Like, Loquita's literally the only one that can see supernatural. This is the one that only has the blades ever, So that was how I thought of it. And then afterwards came the social justice. Like, okay, what do we need to solve? And so I just literally look online, like, what gets me mad? Domestic violence gets me mad. Femicide gets me mad. Literally everything gets me mad. But, it's really like, that's a very easy one, because the femicide's been going on since the 70s. Nobody cares, and like, that's unfortunate. But here, let me write about it. At least I have the superhero to save them. Same thing. Domestic violence been from the beginning of time, unfortunately. So here, let me go this one. ICE, immigration, that one, I don't know really when it came around, but the detention centers, the concentration camps, obviously it's somewhat newer for us, for the United States. So that's kind of how I went about it.
So when you were deciding to take on these very heavy subjects and obviously important ones, like, how did you prepare yourself to write about such things in a way that you were, dealing with it in a respectful way, I guess?
I hope so. I just researched. I'm big on research, because if you don't understand it, if you can't say it clearly, you shouldn't be writing about it. I just researched it. I try to learn as much as possible so that I can hopefully return it back in a digestible form, because it is very heavy. Like you said, it's very, very dark. And like, a lot of the stuff got me really sad. Like, I'd read domestic violence, like the NFL had a lot of domestic violence stuff. Like, you look at the commercials and like all the numbers, the stats, like I looked at all of them. I'm like, I just get really depressed and I have to lay down, and it's just because I have to take it in. And I very much did not like it. And femicide as well. Same thing. A lot of them I really hated to do. But you have to, because it's part of the process. Like, how else are you going to say give them justice, or at least give her the information enough? So I mean, I hate researching for that reason, because it does hurt me a lot. But it's good because then I can translate it back and I can do those stories or my version of the story with whichever character, so that you can see it or you can read it. And so that's kind of how I work, is I just research until I understand it enough. Because obviously everyone understands the concepts of all of it, but if it's not firsthand experience, you don't necessarily understand it. So I had to research them all. And that's it. It hurts, but it's worth it. It's something I have to do so I can write properly.
Yeah, I imagine regular superhero comics, they have to take on something like Thanos is one thing, but it's got to take a toll on you to sit there and have to take on something as real as human trafficking or domestic violence. Like, it can't come out the other end feeling too good. As long as you have your superheroes, though, helping to defeat it, that's probably got to make you feel a little bit better.
It does make me feel better, because I can at least give justice and really awareness.
Yeah.
Why not bring awareness to a subject, because I have the power of putting it in print, in comic form, and having whoever reads it, because I say I'm a little bit small time right now, but like whoever reads it, at least they're aware of it. Maybe they'll make the move in the future, or their kids will, like, you don't know the ripple. So that does help me. Like, that does inspire in that sense. But yes.
So talk to me about how you went about finding your team for creating the comic book, your colorist, your artists, your letterers.
So this was back when I was researching how to do a comic and then what goes into writing a comic or a graphic novel. And so I learned about all the artists, right? Penciler, inker, colorist, letterist, and then graphic designer to put it all together. And so I was like, okay, I need to find all of them. And so I went to Instagram because I like social media. Within reasons, I like social media. And so like there's hashtags, there's women who draw. I think there's girls who illustrate, but there's literally a million hashtags just for females. Cause I know for sure I wanted female artist because the thing is like name a female artist, and like, unless I only know like Bartell, right? Like, but I can't name another female artist besides mine, and like, she's cool, obviously, but like, I can't name any. And obviously I can't afford her either. And so I went through looking and I found a bunch, like there was a lot. And so I went through, I found one that had like the same type of, first it was the penciler, right? Like that's the main one who's going to pencil. And so I found somebody and she was LA based, she's Latina, and I met her. I took her out for lunch, and I was just like, okay, and we're eating and we're talking about my superhero series, etc. And I was like, do you want to be a penciler? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay. Like in my head, I was like, why'd you say yes? Like I literally wrote you asking for penciler. And so she's like, but I'll be colorist. And I said, okay. And she's like, and I'll do a tweet for you. Because she's an artist and she has all artist followers. Oh. So I was really lucky. And she's like, and I'll get my 2 friends will also be colorists. And I was like, okay, you're going to split the money. She's like, okay. But she did a tweet and it was a really simple. She's like, Latina creator looking for Latina artists for Latina superhero series. Drop your ports. And so like 60 people replied. And so she gave me the link and I went through every one of their portfolios, whether it's a website or Tumblr or DeviantArt, wherever it is, I don't care. But like, I'll go through everyone's portfolios and actually found all my artists from there. I found my inker from there. I met her. And I was like, do you want to be a penciler? And she's like, no, I want to be inker. And I was like, okay. No one wants to be a penciler. And then the last person was for penciler. Same thing. She was one of the people that replied and saying like, it fell perfectly. Like really the cards always fall perfectly because she's an animator and like she comes from film as well. So we speak the same. She can know sequential art, but like she can do stills as well as sequential like I do, And so it worked out very well in that sense. And she was really excited. And all of our books, it was every one of ours, of all our 6 people, it was our first graphic novel, our first comic. Except for the inker. The inker knew what she was doing. Everyone else was like, okay, we'll figure it out. And we did. The letterist was really my friend. She's a graphic designer and she's never lettered before. And I asked her and she's like, I don't know. And I was like, it's really easy. Look it up. And she's like, okay. And so, and that's why she did it because I told her to, because I asked her and she's cool. And so that's how I went about it. It was literally just Instagram and then Twitter. And that's it. And then meeting them in person or over Zoom if they're in LA. Or
is it the same team throughout all 5 books?
No, they have been changing. So Some of them haven't done. So I have my penciler for Jalisco is the same as Druka. The penciler for Santa is the same as Loquita. So those 2 pencilers carried over. Bandita is a new penciler. Because they're all going right now. Right now, Loquita's wrapping up, Ruca's still going, Bandita's just starting, and then next month I start A La Brava, which is the team one. Mm-hmm. So those have to be different pencilers because they can't be doing the same stuff. Something with the inkers, a lot of them, they're very just, concentrate on one, which is fair. I don't blame them. Same thing with the colorists. I had one of the Jalisco colorists did the coloring for Santa. And then I got a new one for Loquita, and then I'm getting a new one for Bandita. I don't have anybody yet, but I may get somebody else from one of the older colorists that I've had prior. But I'm not there yet, so I haven't asked them. So I try to keep them. Like I'm very much like if we work together well, and if they want to, if they're not doing something bigger and better, then please stay with me. And so that's kind of my mentality.
Were you looking for a certain type of look for each individual superhero, or was it more like you're happy with the people that you found?
I have a tone board that they need to keep, and I send it to every penciler prior, because that's why like Jalisco and Santa and Loquita, that's why they all somewhat look the same. Like you can tell they're different pencilers, but they literally look the same. Like they all have big eyes. I call it's manga with Disney aesthetic. because it literally is manga with Disney. Like they do have the big eyes, but it's not super big. And they don't have the very pointy chin. They have a very kind of soft chin. So it is that. It's a very, I like to call it a pretty aesthetic, but it's very mixed because they're expressive in the manga sense, and they also have the big eyes, but they're not the crazy big eyes. So that's what I liked. And that's when I was looking at my tone board of like what I thought was pretty when I was going through Instagram and screen grabbing everything and making my little tone board instead of Pinterest, because I didn't know about Pinterest back then. But Instagram works perfectly. And so I sent it to him. I sent it to every single, even the new one, the Bandita one. I was like, can you do something like this? And she said yes. And so when I do find my pencilers, my artist, they already have somewhat close to that aesthetic. Like it's not like it's a stretch for them. It's literally like, oh, okay, you want a softer chin? I can do that. Or make the eyes slightly bigger. Oh yeah, no, it's definitely not a stretch. And then for the colorist, same thing. It's a tone board. I look at what I like. And it's very, very simple. Like Jalisco is very warm colors, right? Red, yellows, oranges. Santa's the complete opposite. Everyone is very cold to each other. So they have cold colors. They have baby blue, baby pink, baby purple. In Santa, Jalisco, everyone was warm. Like everyone would befriended each other, per se. So that was Jalisco. So that's why they're warm. So this is cold. Everyone wants to fight. Everyone's cold to each other. Loquita is Miami. So I just did like 80s colors, 80s or 90s colors.
I love that.
Close to Santa, but like one's 80s and one's 90s because it's very fluorescent because it's Miami. And she said in Miami. So slightly different. And then who's Bandita, I think we're going to do more Southwest colors because she's my cowgirl, even though she's New York. It's either going to be very Broadway colors or very Southwest. I don't have my colorist yet. So whatever the colorist agrees with as well, because I do work with my artist. And obviously if they can do it. Ruka is very rich colors because she's East LA, right? So like you think of silvers and golds, like when you think about chocolate blue or very green, she's very rich. And then A La Brava, I'm not on A La Brava yet because that's too far out. I don't have a pencil yet. But it's just stuff like that. They're all very different. They're distinct people, so they should get distinct colors.
So you said you come from a film background, a screenwriting background. How difficult is it to switch up script writing for film to script writing for a graphic novel?
Oh, it's the same. I do no difference. I literally write out a feature-length script as a film, and I don't know how to write one out for a comic. is really the answer. And then I do my little storyboards, and the same way. It's just literally a storyboard, but just the angles and my little stick figures that don't look like stick figures. But it has the dialogue and it has who's in the shot, if we're interior, exterior, office, day or night, and then anything that's important in regards to the action. And then I do the next, and I go through so I just translate my script into storyboard form, and then the artist reads the storyboard. Although they're welcome to their script because I do upload it for them. I don't know if they do. I just know they base it off the storyboard.
And you do your own storyboards? I
do, yes.
So do you just stick to the like straight up 9-panel page, or do you sometimes dictate that as well? How many panels are going to be on a page? What everything is going to be seen there, or do you allow for the artist to also make some changes and decisions?
I absolutely dictate it. And that is because I do ask them at the very top. I say, do you want to do your own storyboard? And most of the time they say no, which is fine because that means it's easier for them. They spend less time on it. So it's fair. And if they do want to do their own storyboard, sure, absolutely do whatever, as many pages as you want. But otherwise, it's easier because I do contract them at the very top. And I say, okay, it's 60 pages long. So I have to keep within the 60 pages in regards to the panels. I do 4x4s. I don't do 3x3s. Okay. I do 4x4s, but sometimes I do allow, if there's bigger dialogue or if something's very, very important, I won't do the 4x4 on that one page. I'll do something like a 1x2 or 1x3. Same thing. It's dependent. I do let my pencilers choose, like if they want to change the angle slightly, because it's easier for them to shoot at this angle or it makes more sense. Like when you're throwing, like Eva does a really good depth. I'm trying to show you, but like it's good depth. So she throws it. And so from the back corner, she throws it to the front corner, the opposite corner, right? Because she understands fighting panels much better than I do in regards to comics. Like for me as a filmmaker, I would just do coverage and it'd be easy. But same thing. So like they always have the option to edit as long as they keep most of the dialogue and the gist of what the one panel is about.
When you're writing, just in general, like what kind of environment do you need? Do you need music playing? Do you need complete silence? Do you need white noise?
Yeah. No, definitely not white noise. I don't mind music. I like my music just playing in the background, and it's just YouTube and whatever plays within my world that YouTube knows what I like. Sometimes I just do like just whole soundtracks because I do like softer music, and so like Phantom of the Opera or Gladiator or Pearl Harbor is really great music, and that's just in general. I could just always have it on and do whatever. But when I'm writing, that's fine as well. Quiet is fine as well. I don't mind necessarily quiet. It just whatever works. I'm on a computer, so if I feel like extra noise, I'll put it on.
Is there a type of film that you prefer to watch or even write?
Film. I like action. I like martial arts. I like things that move. So I like movement is really what my answer is, which is probably why I lend towards superheroes because everyone's always moving. I also like coming of age, which is also very superhero because because that's an origin story as a coming of age film. Yeah. So I like comics, obviously. I do like superhero movies. I do like action, but I grew up with a lot of martial arts movies as well. So
with your whole concept of your 5 books there, being the Latina superheroes, why was it so important for you to be, Latina, like the just straight up a whole all-female team, and also to have a all-female Latina working team?
Well, it just made the most sense to me. So when I first was thinking, okay, what do I want to write for the big screen? When we had big screens, I was like, Latina superhero, right? Because we don't have one, and I've never seen one. And that's very sad. It's absolutely very sad. And so I was like, okay, I can increase my chances because I can make 5 of them. So one of my 5 will get on the screen. And that is the reason why I made 5. And I was like, okay, if they're 5, they exist on the same team because why not? And so my process kind of went with that. And then when I was looking, same thing as like I said, I was looking just for females. And then I was like, it makes the most sense if I can actually back my word of saying Latinas are important because they are important. Like name a Latina artist. You cannot. Nobody can, honestly. And like, that's the whole problem. Like I can't either, obviously, unless they're my own. But that's the whole problem. So why not prove like, okay, Latina in front of the screen, on the page and behind the page as well. Like it doesn't hurt.
I love that. When you were creating these characters, since you come from a background of film, did you have any particular stars in mind when you were thinking of them?
No, I don't think like that. I know a lot of people do, but I don't necessarily like, oh, this person can play this. Like now I do because people tell me, like Jalisco, Selma Hayek, not Selma Hayek, Selena Gomez. They're the ones that tell me her the most. I get her the most for Jalisco. And that's great because she's Chicana, so she can definitely play it. But I'm not here to, like it matters and it doesn't necessarily matter to me. The point is to get it out there. That's the main point. Like I can always make an actress per se. So if you get strong, like a good mentor and a good villain character. So if I got some Hayek and Eva Longoria, right, then I can literally get any girl as the lead role, right? Like if you think of Thor, we never knew about who Chris Hemsworth or the Loki character, right? Like Marvel made them. And that's the whole point. You can do such things like that as well. Because of the word Marvel. The word Marvel sells themselves. Obviously, I'm not there yet, but like I can get the 2 lead characters or the 2 supporting characters to back them. So no is the answer. I don't necessarily think in that sense.
I love that too. That's great. So what is it that when you have free time, obviously it can't be a lot of free time. You are working on 5 different projects alone, just what you've talked about here. I'm sure you have other projects going on too. But when you do have free time and you just want to geek out on something, what is it that you like to geek out on?
I like to geek out on Pinterest, I guess. Pinterest is a nice escapism. And you just kind of get lost in there. And I very much like that because it's just a very nice escapism. Trailers. I don't know if this answers your questions in regards to geeking, but just trailers of 2021 trailers on YouTube. It's very entertaining to me to see trailers, to be like, oh, this is coming out. This is what the world says we want, which is really just the studios, and it's very, they're all just repeats. They're all IP that we've seen before. And they're like, oh, we could just refresh it for the new generation because apparently we all think the same still, and like, it's just a weird mentality. And so I kind of like understand. I research. I just like research, and I research, and I try to understand that mentality.
I love that. Like I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about geeking out about trailers. I love that idea. So, I mean, obviously with the last year being the way that it was, we didn't get a lot of movies in the movie theater. We didn't get any really. And so the same trailers that we were seeing last year, we're seeing this year. Like, is that a disappointment to you?
No, because I'm so far behind. Like I saw Dune like 2 days ago, and Dune's been out. But it was new to me. But also I did see like the Zack Snyder version of Justice League the day it came out. So it's not like I'm just hanging out. Whatever gets me at that time, I will watch. But like the Dune trailer is really, really cool. Same thing. And it's been out, and people really liked it when they first came out as well. And I heard about it obviously a while ago too. It's okay. Like there's always trailers. Like if Netflix puts a trailer up like every day, it's just Paramount Plus, like same thing. I'm very industry. It's just like SpongeBob just came out on Paramount Plus, and like, okay, do you want to buy Paramount Plus for 10 or $12 a month? No, I do not. But it's a very cool thing to look at those trailers as well, because they do their little packaging trailers besides just obviously movie trailers. But they put their their clips in. I don't mind it. I don't watch a lot of TV, honestly, or YouTube either, even though it sounds like I do. But I do listen to music a lot.
Have you been able to notice like a trend in trailers, like the way that things are presented to us?
All of them are always quick shots. If you're a superhero, which I do see a lot of the superhero trailers, there's a million of quick shots, and you don't necessarily need to know the storyline because it doesn't matter. Like, how many Batmans do you need to see? You understand the storyline that it's Batman. Like I don't need to see that flashback, like his origin of the parents dying. Everybody knows that since Michael Keaton. Like we've known it since forever. But it's just, they do very quick shots, like same thing, Dune, quick shots, and you have no idea what's going on. It's really fun because you have no idea. Same thing with Star Wars. You have no idea. Unless you actually know the world. But like it's the same point. Like I was saying, like it doesn't matter because it's Star Wars. You're going to see it anyway. It doesn't matter because it's Batman. You know everything that's going to happen in Batman, but you're going to see it anyway. So
what is it that you're looking forward to seeing?
What am I? I don't mind Dune. I've never seen the original Dune, so I can't really compare it, unfortunately, or at least not yet until I watch the first one. What is coming out? Raya and the Last Dragon just came out on Disney. So I do look forward to that when it comes out in a couple months for free on Disney Plus. I will definitely watch it on that. I enjoyed Mulan because Nikki Caro shot that, and she's my favorite director. And so I researched, I studied the shots. I would say I studied the movie I know, the story I know, because it's the same as the animated. But like you can study the shots and like how much they pop the color, which I thought was very fun as well. And so I like saying I research and I study, but I also enjoy learning. Like, okay, this is a new angle. Like she literally took chances and she turned the camera around when Mulan was running up the wall. And it's like it's very simple, but it's very cool because you just don't see it all the time. Nobody really takes those chances, especially with a Disney movie. So that's kind of like. That's what I like, seeing what's coming out. I honestly have no idea what is coming out. Wonder Woman 3 in like 3 years, probably. I don't know what's coming out, honestly. For all the trailers I see, it just goes in one ear and out the other. But
that's fine. What have you found to be the most difficult hurdle for you transitioning into the graphic novel and Kickstarter even aspect of all this?
Morbius. I will say I do look forward to Morbius. Now that I was thinking about it.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. And so, biggest hurdle. There isn't. Like right now it's just eyes. Like I was saying, the Comic Cons, like same thing. And this is everyone's problem. But Comic Con is really great for me, or any of the cons, and like signing at the comic book shops and at the bookstores. Like I was going to sign at Barnes and Nobles, when I had my first book, and then that was in March, and then March happened, and then nothing for the whole year, which I mean, it's everyone's story. So I know it's not me, but like that hurts. Like that hurts a lot. Financially, it definitely hurts because I was already online, but it's not the same as selling in person and making that connection. So that is my biggest hurdle because of pandemic. But otherwise, it's very simple. Honestly, I enjoy it. It's it's more direct to consumer than it is direct to like business to consumer, which is fine because I do sell at comic book stores as well, but direct to consumer is a lot easier. It's just slightly harder because you need to find out new ways to get to them as opposed to them coming to you at the con or at the bookstore.
You talked about it earlier. You use social media to find your artists that you were working on the project. How have you used social media to promote the projects itself, the graphic novels?
Just by posting and posting and posting and cross-posting. I have 5 Instagrams. And so like my own personal one at Kayden Phoenix has the most. And so like if it's very important or if it's something that I want everyone more eyes on it, obviously I'll just post it there. But I will post it at Latina Superheroes and then sometimes at Jalisco Superhero, even though that's just dedicated to Jalisco. And so it's just posting more than once, posting different things besides just, oh, here's 2 books, or here's this girl that just purchased, or a guy as well. But like, here's this person that purchased the book and smiling, or here's a repost. Those are the best because it's just very nice and a compliment. And just changing it up, like here's me, or here's us, me and one of my pencilers at a Comic-Con or a virtual panel. It's just trying to find new things, honestly, but they're just posting and keeps just hashtags. It's always just hashtags and then hope you get referred in as well. So if someone posts it on their page.
And do you see like a measurable, like
return of interest?
Sure. Return of interest. That works in using social media for promotion.
Absolutely, yes. It does create sales, actually. So it's very nice. It does create followers as well.
And so, what have virtual panels been like?
Virtual panels are fun. It's just like this. Like it's just like you're on Zoom, or you're on whatever, Google Drive, whatever platform they put you on. But it's really the same. It's the same from what I understand. Like I just did a WonderCon one. I have one coming up on Saturday. And they're just your friends. I mean, my penciler is always on there with me. The one for Jalisco, that's Amanda. And then my friends are on there, like Barbara Dillon for Quince. Like those are, you just bring your friends on, or they're all my friends, but like we're all doing the same work and we all have the same purpose. I would say different Latino superheroes, but we're all there and we all understand each other's purpose and the importance of it. But, obviously you're not in the same room because you cannot be. So slightly different. The moderator has to call on you. Otherwise you guys overlap each other. And that's fine. Like it's just called being polite, and so it's not a big deal in that sense. The panels are still the same for me.
What's one piece of advice you would give to someone that is trying to do the same thing that you're doing?
Research. It's all online. I have a lot of people ask me questions. How do you make a comic? How do you do this? Like, how do you make a short film? Like, you can literally research it all. How do you write? Literally research. And I say that because I did it. You can literally go to YouTube. You can go to any search bar you want. You can read books and you can also just read, people's blogs and read tons and tons of websites. And you figure out what is correct because a lot of it is subjective. But overall, you do take what is proper and what, like on YouTube, you can put best graphic novels of all time, best comics of all time. Like, that's why I know about Watchmen. That's why I know about Killing Joke. That's why I know about the Spider-Man Hunter's Last Hunt or whatever it was. Like they're really strong, even though I'm not a Spider-Man fan. But like, it's like it was recommended the most. And so I was like, okay, I'll read it. But do your research and know the world. If you understand the world, you understand what you can do within it, and you can understand how to make your own table at the same time. After
the teen book, the A La Brava book, are you going to be returning back to these characters, or is it going to be moving on to the next thing?
So I originally just wanted to do the Majestics, which is just goddesses and princesses of all Latin America, or really Western Hemisphere. And then a writer's list, like, it doesn't make sense. You should, perpetuate your own IP because like Batman has a million different variations besides just a million Batmans and all of them, and so now I have to do a million different variations as well. So I have to do a Jalisco 2, which is fine. I have to do a Santa 2. I have to do volume 2, as I call it, of all of them. And I also do want to do my Latina princess, my Aztec Latina princess as well. And then I had a really cute little like adventure one as well within the goddesses. So I don't know when I'm going to do that one, but I do know this year I will do Jalisco 2. This is for me as a writing. So when it comes out, I don't know, probably next year or unless I get more artists. But Jalisco V2 and Mexica, which is my Aztec princess. So those are my 2 for writing starting probably in April or May. Right now I'm doing a comic for somebody else right now. But we will. We'll see. April, technically. I should start.
Sounds great. Now here's the question.
Yes.
If you could have one useless superpower, and it has to be completely useless, what would you have? And mine, I always throw out there, is I can grow my hair an inch on command.
Oh, that's pretty good. I can eat at all times of the day and have no repercussions.
I mean, that's good. I mean, it's not really going to help anybody, but it just makes you feel good. So I like that.
Yeah. Instant happiness. Yeah,
instant happiness. All right. Thank you. Once again, the book is Loquita, and it is on Kickstarter right now. You're just trying to get to that goal so that you for printing, right?
Yes, it just covers printing costs. It doesn't cover any of my artist cost at all. But it's fine. Like I will absolutely take it because anything helps, honestly. Other than the Kickstarter campaign, would you like to give out any social media? Yeah, so at latinasuperheroes.com is my latinasuperheroes.com is my website, and my social media is Instagram at latinasuperheroes. Very cool. I am at Mitchipedia GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. The rest of Geek Elite Media is at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Check out archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our website, geekelitemedia.com. And whatever podcatcher you use to listen to podcasts, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network. But until next time, this is Hey Mitch on the Geek Elite Media Network saying always remember to geek out.
Geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.